The GTX 1080 Ti, a legend, the card that embarrassed GPUs for years, but now it's 2025. Modern games are massive, VRAM demand is climbing, and dlss 3 is everywhere. So the big question is the GTX 1080 Ti still worth using or even buying in 2025? Well, let's find out. So back in 2017, Nvidia dropped the GTX 1080 Ti, and it instantly became the king of 1440p and even 4K gaming. It has 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X VRAM, 352-bit bus, 250-watt TDP, and performance that destroyed even the Titan X at that time. For years, it aged like fine wine, but games in 2025, they demand more than ever. So here's how the 1080 Ti performs in today's game. At 1080p performance, still excellent. Apex Legends 160 to 200 FPS. Valorant, you'll get like 300 plus FPS. Fortnite performance mode, you'll get like 200 plus FPS. Even modern AA titles like Cyberpunk 2077, you'll get like 55 to 70 FPS on high. Starfield 45 to 60 FPS on medium. Hogwarts Legacy 55 to 70 FPS on high. That's pretty awesome, right? And at 1440p, which I have my 1080 Ti connected to a ultra wide monitor, which is more taxing than 1440p, and that's how I play my games with the 1080 Ti graphic cards. But most esports titles, you'll get like 100 to 200 FPS in 1440p performance mode, okay? And AA titles, 45 to 70 FPS depending on your settings. 4K performance, it can do it, but you probably shouldn't, all right? 30 to 45 FPS in heavy titles, 60 plus FPS only in older or well optimized games. It can do, but I don't think you should. In raw raster performance, the 1080 Ti is still punching around RTX 2070 or the RTX 3060 levels in many scenarios. No DLSS, no frame generation. This is huge. In 2025, upscalers like DLSS 3, DLSS 3.5, ray reconstruction, and FSR 3 are practically required for top tier performance. The 1080 Ti gets none of that. Well, at least DLSS, you can use FSR 3, which I do in a lot of games, and that's how I get pretty good FPS even to this day. But ray tracing, forget about it, alright? Technically, it can run games with ray tracing, but should you? No. It tanks performance instantly. Alright, your games will be literally unplayable. VRAM usage is increasing. 11 gigabytes sounded huge in 2017, but now some new AA titles use 10 to 12 gigabytes at 1080p on high textures. It works, but it's definitely not future-proof. Power consumption, the 1080 Ti pulls 250 watts, and with age, some cards run even hotter. Compared to modern GPUs, the RTX 4060 is like at 115 watt. The RTX 4070, it's at 200 watt. And the RTX 3060, it's at 170 watt. The 1080 Ti is powerful but not efficient. If you pay high electricity rates, this matters more than ever in 2025. So the current prices in 2025, a used 1080 Ti pricing in 2025 typically falls between $120 to $200 depending on model, condition, and region. At $150, it's solid value GPU if you understand its limitation, but at $200 plus, you're dangerously close to a RTX 3060 pricing, which gives you basically DLSS, ray tracing, better efficiency, and obviously newer driver support. So who is the 1080 Ti still good for? It's still good for esports gaming, 1080p high settings, 1440p medium high and older AA titles, budget builds where every dollar matters. Users with older CPUs, the 1080 Ti pairs well with 6th and 9th gen Intel. Not good for ray tracing fans, competitive gamers who want 300 to 500 FPS, VR gamers requiring stable frame times, anyone wanting DLSS 3 frame generation, people paying high electricity prices. So the final verdicts show, is the GTX 1080 Ti still worth it in 2025? Yes, but only in the right situation. If you find it for around $130 to $150, it's still an absolute beast of 1080p and decent for 1440p, and you can definitely game on it in 2025 and enjoy the majority of the titles. But if you want modern features, efficiency, and future-proofing, you're better off jumping to something like an RTX 3060 or an RX 6700 XT. The 1080 Ti had an amazing run, arguably one of the best GPUs ever made, but like all things, its legendary reign is gonna come to an end pretty soon. All right, I still play all the games. It's still amazing card, but you know, they're also, I've heard that Nvidia is stopping driver support for the 10 series, so that'll be a problem. And yeah, these are gonna be issues in the future, but you know, till this day I still play all my games very well at an ultra wide resolution, and it's amazing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day.